join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have session minutes from May 2nd to approve. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Humphrey.
Aye. Jeff Bloom has a presentation for us.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to give you an update this morning. Our staff has been very busy working on the Geo Woodstock event that's coming up at the end of the month here, and also working on future business as far as different events and meetings that we're bidding on to host in Clermont County. Kind of get started here. Geo Woodstock by the numbers. Geo Woodstock, just to give you a little bit of background in case you aren't aware, is the largest geocaching event in the world. The Convention and Visitors Bureau won the bid a year ago and has been hard at work over the last really 2-3 years putting event details together and working with the Geo Woodstock Organizational Committee. To date, the event numbers are 5,030 total number of registrations, and the main event is at Coney Island. And Geo Woodstock again is geocaching. If you're not aware, it's using GPS coordinates similar to like a scavenger hunt, going out and finding different locations, signing a log at that location. There's usually some type of coin or trinket or something left at that location. Whoever checks in there will pick up that item, and then they'll leave an item. And that could be another type of coin, another type of unique trinket for the next individual or family that is going out there and checking into that location. This event is, like I said, the world's largest. It's the biggest one that they've had to date. So right now we're over 5,030 registrations, and a few of those are still rolling in. The average number of visitors, 2.2. So right now, some of the registrations include multiple family members, but we're estimating right now the overall attendance to be between 7,000 and 8,000. We will do a post-event survey to really firm that up, working in conjunction with Geo Woodstock. Some exciting numbers to share. All 50 states and 29 countries will be represented as of 5/8/18. That's very exciting. So we'll have people coming from Europe, from the Middle East, from Asia, South America. So it's very exciting. So this truly is a global event in the geocaching community. So we hope that their experience here is a very positive one. We've got some great events lined up for them. They've got a good committee in place, and it will have really a nice impact in Clermont County and in the Cincinnati region overall. We have 1,230 total room nights booked for Clermont County. There is an impact, and we will work with Geo Woodstock to get the total numbers in Northern Kentucky, Hamilton County, and even up in Warren County as well. So we'll get a total number of room nights after the event. We'll have a full follow-up, but that's very exciting. And as well, we're utilizing the campgrounds at Clermont County Fairgrounds, and we have 320 campsites out there for the event. So again, utilizing another venue that we have in the county. So the excitement is building in the geocaching community. They have their own Facebook community. They're very excited about the opportunity to come here and visit. They will be experiencing things throughout Clermont County and throughout the Cincinnati region.
Hey, Jeff, on the 2.2, if you go back, because if I'm reading this right,
Sorry.
maybe it's an up arrow or a down arrow. Either way, leave it as is. But 2.2 per household, does that mean that a household that's more than just a couple, they're probably bringing their family.
Correct.
So it's a family vacation.
Yes.
Because it is in June.
Right.
Okay.
So it'll be a mixture. There'll be individuals, there'll be couples, there'll be family
Yeah.
that do attend. So it's certainly a combination of different types of households that will be in attendance.
And actually, go ahead.
Good.
No, I was going to say this geocaching, the guy who kind of created this, is he local? I'm trying to think. I mean, there's this
Well-
guy that you've worked with, but
Right.
I didn't know what his involvement was with
They
geo.
have a local organizing committee, and Jesse Tuttle is
Yeah.
an AFK. Caching has been part of that local organizing committee. We've also worked with a Tennessee group and also Dayton geocachers that are helping with our registration, our volunteers, and the organization of a lot of the different events.
Is this going to be the largest?
Largest in the world and largest to date. So it's pretty exciting. So it's definitely going to be a first for Clermont County, and in the geocaching community, it will be the largest one to date. So it is very exciting that we have it here.
Commissioner Humphrey had a question. I overstepped.
I've been geocaching. I've had the experience. I wondered how many here have been geocaching at some point, either with family or friends.
We all learn something about it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never expect it. So the
In
GPS, maybe.
Hawaii and other places I've been.
So Ed,
geocaching.
for the GPS, do you use your phone, or how do you do the
I
GPS?
was along with other folks that
Okay.
knew how to do this.
But
Primarily use your phone.
your phone will do the GPS. And then how many locations will there be? Will all of those cachings or things that are planted will be in Clermont County or throughout
Throughout.
the area?
They will have, there's geocaching sites in Clermont County. They've worked with UC Clermont for a geo trail. There is also a Cincinnati region. There's 150 geocaching sites throughout the greater Cincinnati area
That are already there.
that are already there. They were also working on a brewery trail that will primarily be in Hamilton County in the Cincinnati area. And then one that we will do post-event in order to keep the momentum going. We will be working on a Freedom Trail for all the Freedom Trail sites in Clermont County. And that way, that will be something that we can share with them to bring them back in the future, as far as the ones that are here either in the Midwest or, typically within driving range, will come back for another visit.
And you have some very close to here, right? I mean, you.
Correct. There are geocaching sites within Clermont County.
I mean, we have one very, very close right here in Batavia, and then that other 5 that we hit out on Mr. Evil's farm. I mean, that's probably gonna.
Right. So you will see, especially between the dates of May 23rd and May 27th, you will see geocachers out in the various communities and following the different trails. So it truly gets them out to explore the county and the Cincinnati region, which is great. Let's see. A lot of the different events that are coming up that week. Wednesday really is the kickoff day. So we have attractions that are set up, and that's at the zoo and the Newport Aquarium in Kings Island. We also have Scene 75 in the afternoon. We'll be hosting a game gathering, so they'll be playing all types of the arcade games at Scene 75 and taking advantage of all the attractions that they have at that venue. In the evening, from 6 to 11 p.m., we will have a street party in New Richmond where the streets are closed off. We'll have food trucks, live music, and that will be really a nice way to kick off the summer. And the public is more than welcome to attend that event as well. Thursday, May 24th is another attraction day. They also have a Cincinnati Reds game on deck. That'll be a businessmen's special, so that'll be an afternoon game. Registration also begins at Coney Island, so they'll be able to pick up their registration packets. And then we have an evening mixer at Mount Carmel Brewing Company. So there's a variety of different things to do. So people won't do necessarily everything. They'll pick and choose the different activities they do. Some of the families certainly will take care of the attractions. Some of the younger adults will certainly take advantage of the Mount Carmel Brewing and our fine craft brews. Friday is another registration day at Coney Island. In addition, the attractions will continue on Friday. In the evening, they have a Roman festival, which their mascot is a frog named Signal and dressed in Roman attire. And so they will have a Roman-themed event, and that's at the Clermont County Fairgrounds that evening. The main event itself, and this is where everybody will be in attendance, will be at Coney Island, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. And then on Sunday, they also do a nice, very positive thing to engage the community. They have a CITO event, which is Cash In, Trash Out, and that will be at the East Fork State Park campgrounds. They will be working with ODNR, and our staff will be out there helping to coordinate that. They'll be out there for 2 to 3 hours that morning on Sunday, and that will be helping to really clean up the campground area. They will comb trails, the woods up to a certain number of yards within your sight line to really pick up garbage, anything that's been left. Sometimes you find abandoned TVs and whatever else you'll find out there. They will pick up and work with ODNR to really ensure that whole area is all the trash is picked up, and anything that they find out there is thrown in a dumpster. They collect quite a bit. Surprisingly, at other parks that they've been to in the past, they'll fill up several truckloads of garbage. So that'll be nice, and that's a nice give back to the community here. So we appreciate their efforts on that. And so really it ends on Sunday, and many of those people will stay through the weekend as well and do their own personal activities and visit and do some of the things on their own list of things to do. The main event is at Coney Island, like I said, and that's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The events there, they'll have a variety of live music. Of course, they have all the amusement rides and Sunlight Pool for swimming. They do have programming, so speakers and geocaching presenters will talk throughout the day. There's something for everybody, right? So people will find something different to do while they're there that day. There's also a food buffet. They'll be serving an unlimited buffet to all the attendees. There's the kids area. There's also a large number of vendors and exhibitors that will be there that day as well. And they will be setting up in the picnic grove. If you're familiar with the picnic grove at Coney Island, there will be many vendors and exhibitors there. In addition, they'll be setting up some media interviews and doing some podcasts from Coney Island. So all very exciting, and talking about geocaching and their experience here in Clermont County and in the Cincinnati region. And I wanted to give you an update. Do you have any more questions on Geo Woodstock before I move on? We do have a number of upcoming events this month and early next. King's Hammer Soccer Club hosts a big soccer tournament, the Crown Challenge. That will be located at Olympic Fields, and that's coming up this weekend, May 11th through the 13th.
So tell me, Olympic Fields, Batavia.
And that's the Red Barn facility.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So they renamed it to Olympic Fields. So moving forward, that's what we'll refer to it as, is the Olympic Fields in Batavia.
Got to get my bearings.
Better than the Red Barn.
Right. Yes, absolutely. May 15th through the 20th. If you're familiar with Airstream trailers, the recreational vehicle trailers, the big silver bullet trailers, we will have a couple of hundred of those out there at the Clermont County Fairgrounds, and they will be doing tours throughout Clermont County. I know they were interested in the National Underground Railroad, the Freedom Trail. They're interested in the Cincinnati Nature Center. They'll be doing some of the exploring some of the craft breweries as well, and then again some of the regional attractions throughout Greater Cincinnati. So they'll be hosted there at the Clermont County Fairgrounds. Coming up after that, May 19th and through the 20th, is the Midwest Junior Rowing Championships out at East Fork State Park. Again, they feature several hundred high school-aged rowers. That will be another exciting rowing event. A new one this year is the Rugby Ohio State Championships, and that will be hosted at West Clermont Middle School. So we've worked with them on some housing and helping to bring the event here, and worked with the local rugby community on that. So that is a nice win for this area.
Right, is that a club, or those schools, or what is it?
It's schools. Rugby is not necessarily a official, recognized school sport. So they have their own affiliation for high school rugby, and their Ohio State championships will be held right here in Clermont County.
So this is high school level?
Yes. Yep. June 1st through the 3rd, we'll be hosting the American Cornhole, and it will be their Heartland Conference, which is their Midwest Conference Championship. And they're expected to have 150 to 200 participants in that, and that will be at the Cincy Sports Nation, the new indoor soccer facility. So they'll set up on one or two of their indoor soccer fields, and they'll be playing from Friday night through Sunday afternoon. And that will be a lot of fun. And certainly public are more than welcome to attend any of the championship events. So if you want to go out and enjoy a variety of different sporting activities, many of those are open to the public. Just to give you a sales update, we had some exciting news last night. Besides the election going on, right, we had the U.S. Rowing Youth Nationals. We put in a bid. We are a finalist, so we were up against a dozen other venues throughout the country. We are a finalist for U.S. Rowing Youth Nationals. I don't believe we've hosted that one since 2009. We are up against one other venue. We don't know who that is as far as the destination. We will have a conference call with U.S. Rowing next week to go over our bid and anything that we need to work on. And so we've made the cut. We've made it to the next round. And so we hope to win that bid. We'll find out in June on that, but we'll be working to firm up our bid and our offer to U.S. Rowing to host it here.
Jeff, I know in the Club Nationals, you've got about 1,900 plus rowers.
Right.
What's youth?
Youth Nationals is 1,600 rowers, but their attendance is larger. This is the high school age, so mom, dad, family, grandma, grandpa, they all come out to watch. So their attendance is actually higher than Club Nationals. It's less dates. There's 4 days of competition. Club Nationals actually increased from 5 to 6 days for the future. So the number of people coming in for Youth Nationals and the number of days is less. So they're similar in size as far as overall impact and overall room nights to the hotel community. But you definitely have more attendance out there. So there's some items that we're working on with parking. We're working on shuttling people from Grant Career Center and Bethel Middle School to shuttle attendees over to East Fork State Park, and then reserve most of the parking for the rowing clubs and a lot of the athletes and vendors and training staff and crew. So there's a couple items that we have to address with U.S. Rowing, but we made it to be a finalist, so that's exciting that we made the cut. And there are some excellent facilities out there, including Sarasota, Florida, which is really a world-class operation and a multi-million-dollar facility. So if we win this, I was sitting next to them when I transitioned into the next piece here. I went to the National Association of Sports Commissions 2 weeks ago, and actually was sitting next to two girls from the Sarasota Convention and Visitors Bureau who were bidding on U.S. Rowing Youth Nationals. So we had some friendly banter going back and forth about this particular piece of business. U.S. Rowing Club Nationals, we are bidding on that as well. And again, I would not expect us to get both. We will probably get one or the other. But ideally, it would be great to have one of the U.S. Rowing National Championships events each year, every year in Clermont County. So that's our goal, and it's a 3-year contract for either one of those. So we're excited about the opportunity to bid on each of those. In addition to the rowing, I did a site inspection yesterday with Tough Mudder. We are in competition with Warren County as well as Indiana and specifically Indianapolis on a Tough Mudder event. Right now it's currently being held at Kentucky Speedway. They're looking to possibly move the event. And our bid is due at the end of May. But that they're looking at possibly doing a 5-year deal. So that would certainly be a big event for Clermont County. They typically draw 7,000 to 8,000 attendees for participation. We have one site that we have identified in Clermont County. We had two. Unfortunately, one we could not move forward with due to some EPA restrictions on their land. So we're moving forward with the site that we do have, and we're excited about bidding on that one. Again, it's competitive. There's 5 different destinations and sites that they're looking at in Indiana and Ohio. Talked about the National Association of Sports Commissions, went to that conference in Minneapolis. It was snowing 2 days before I got there, but it was pretty good weather and sun when I was there, so I was thrilled. But they had 1.5 feet of snow about 4 days before I arrived, so I was a little concerned. I had over 40 appointments with sports events organizers, and that ranges from obstacle course type of events, flag football, Tough Mudder I met with up there as well, to your typical sports, soccer, baseball, softball, a variety of different sport and athletic events, fishing tournament. I also talked to an event planner about a water sports event, and certainly something that I would love to see out at East Fork Lake, which would involve a stand-up paddleboard competition, possibly a jet ski competition, really some things that would draw spectators in and participants from all over the Midwest. So we're very excited about some of these opportunities. Right now I have an RFP from 3 different athletic event organizers on my desk, which is exciting. And we'll be bidding on some of those. We have to vet some of those to make sure we're a match. We do have some great venues in the county and a variety of venues. So there's a lot of different sports events that we can host here. And so it's a matter of talking to the sports organizers, seeing what their basic requirements are, seeing what our venues can do, and seeing if we're a match. And ideally, we'll be a match for a good number of these. So we're working aggressively, and our marketing and sales teams are working in tandem to put these bids together. They're multi-page bids. I can tell you that the U.S. Rowing one was 22 pages. I know some of these other ones will be anywhere from 10 to 30-page bids. They take a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of homework and research to work with the venues, work with our hotel community, work with local organizing committees, to put these bids together. So we're thrilled with how our team is working and our local venues are working with us on putting these bids together. In addition, Margaret Badillion, who handles our meetings and conferences, is attending Meeting Planners International, and that conference is June 2nd to the 5th, and that's in Indianapolis, so real close by, and that's a conference for corporate and association meeting planners. And again, focusing on pieces of business that can fit in the space that we have, whether it's a Eastgate Holiday Inn, whether it's a unique meeting venue space like Cincinnati Nature Center, Oasis Conference Center, or some of the other unique meeting space that we have here. But working with meeting planners to identify smaller meetings and conferences. We're not going to go after a 5,000 or 10,000 person convention, but business that makes sense for our county and with the different venues and banquet facilities and meeting space that we have. And that is a quick update on where we are with things currently. I could probably talk for hours, but I'll save you that for today.
Presume all the information and dates coming up are on your website?
Yes, yes. And if you do need any information on any of these events, we are going to set up some media interviews for Geo Woodstock especially coming up. So we'll be happy to set those up with any of the media, and we'll be reaching out to our local media here as well, and some media that is more national in nature, especially some of the digital channels.
Great
Jeff,
job.
Great.
Jeff, your budget is all pretty much paid for by people from outside the county, right? That comes
Correct.
in through hotels, and people that are typically from outside the county come in and rent hotels or use hotels, but
Correct.
you guys are a great development tool for the county between the hotel rooms you fill up and the restaurants that are patronized and gas taxes and retail, and you guys pay for yourself 3-4 times over, I'm sure, each year.
We do, and we are in since I started in October, really I'm trying to identify more of our budget to move over to marketing and sales to, really attract more business. So we're going to focus on being more of an aggressive sales and marketing organization, really making an impact, bringing events and meetings in that have not been hosted in Clermont County. I'd like to say we're going to turn some heads as far as some of the things that we'll host and hopefully make everybody really proud of our county and all the different venues that we have and the exciting events and meetings that we can bring in. And one piece of research that I would like to do, and this will probably take place in the fall or the winter, is economic impact and visitor spending research. We will work to put a study together with one of the research companies, but we really have not had updated numbers on that in quite some time, and we will get some updated numbers so that it makes sense. And I can tell you that when we do host an event, I can give you some accurate numbers as far as what is the economic impact. If 5,000 people come in for an event or 8,000 people come in for an event and they stay for 5 days, what does that mean in dollars? What does that mean to the local community? But there's definitely an impact, not only in the hotels, but in the restaurants, in the retail, the gas stations. Everybody spends money in a multitude of ways when they visit. And, when you go on vacation, whether it's a weekend or whether it's a week somewhere, you are going to spend money. Shopping's number one on everybody's list. You've got to feed yourself and your family. You got to fill up the gas tank to get where you're going and get back. So all of those things are very important to Clermont County and our community and are all tourism related. So we're excited about the impact that we're having and will have in the future. And so there's exciting things coming up this year, but then looking at next year and future years, we're very excited about what the future brings. So thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Next on our list is Kathleen Williams, Communications Coordinator, Office of Public Information, regarding our 2017 online Clermont County Annual Report.
Well, thank you, Commissioners. Excuse me, I am at the tail end of a cold, so you'll probably hear me a little bit hoarse. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and present to you a little bit about what we did this year with the annual report, which I will depend on Debbie to get me started. What do you want me to do? Thank you. Let me just say what went into planning for this. We began planning for this last fall, and from the beginning, we wanted to include Robert Frost in it, our webmaster, and David Scheibenzuber, our videographer, because we wanted to do a multimedia approach to the annual report. But we also did want to have an accompanying print product, and that's what you see in front of you. This is a snapshot of county government in 2017, and it has highlights from the annual report. This is something that we put together basically so people could see at a glance what went on with our county, and it also refers to the annual report and where people can find it online. So this will be distributed to county offices, county agencies that basically interact with the public and have counters with the public. And I'll also be distributing it next week to places like the Chamber, the CVB, the townships, villages, and cities that all have counters that interact with the public. So we hope to have wide distribution of this. One thing I wanted to say about the annual report, when I began in 2014, I wanted our annual report to really reflect things that citizens and residents can see, accomplishments and initiatives that impact on their lives, and not so much kind of the minutia of county government from day to day. So that's one thing that we tried to do beginning in 2015. But this time we really wanted to take it, to really move ahead and really do something dynamic and use all the tools at our disposal that are available to tell the story of Clermont County. So I wanted just to kind of walk you through this and what we've got here. So we begin with this drone footage video of the county that David put together. And I think Adele and Andy can tell us, but we've collected drone footage in the last year or so, last 6 months. And so this just shows you some, an overview of various aspects of the county, and it's really fantastic and sort of gives you an idea of a little bit of what Clermont County looks like. We wanted to, you can scroll down this, which is what I'll do, or you can go to the menu on the right-hand side. So, of course, we wanted to start with our commissioners. And we did short videos. David did short videos with each commissioner that focused on an area of one of the accomplishments or areas of interest in the county that our commissioners have a particular interest in. So Commissioner Humphrey has, he's got many interests, but one of his strong interests is transportation infrastructure and the importance of that. So we wanted to focus a little bit on some of the big projects that we had this year, and we also revisit that a little bit further down. So I'm just going to play a snippet of this.
Hello, I'm Commissioner Ed Humphrey. I've always believed that transportation infrastructure is critical to Clermont County's growth and development. That's one of the reasons Clermont County has been a major supporter of Clermont County Transportation Improvement District, we call the TID. Through the TID, we bring together multiple groups, develop one agenda, and speak with one voice to local, state, and federal decision makers. The end result is that we improve safety of our local roads, and we provide better access to places we go throughout the county.
So I'm not going to go through I am going to go through each of the commissioners' videos just a little bit, but Commissioner Humphrey then goes through some of the major projects that happened in 2017 that were part of the TID. And then Commissioner Painter, who has a strong interest in the opiate task force and some of the initiatives that the county has undertaken in terms of the fight against opiates. So let's listen to a little bit of that.
Hello, I'm Commissioner David Painter. My tenure as commissioner started in 2017. At that time, I was ready to address the impact that the opiate crisis is having on our community. I became a member of the Clermont County Drug-Free Coalition and the Opiate Task Force. Joining forces with my fellow commissioners, I became a part of a collaborative team that has worked on solutions to this issue since 2017. Let me take this opportunity to discuss some major steps forward that happened in 2017. The Community Alternative Sentencing Center, which we call CASC, opened a wing for women. Women who are convicted of misdemeanor offenses related to drugs can now volunteer to attend the CASC program for treatment and counseling. In addition, the first recovery home in our county opened in 2017. Right now, it's open just to men. But
So Commissioner Painter goes on and talks about some of the other accomplishments and also the county's decision to bring suit against the distributors and the potential impact that has for the county. And Commissioner Ubel talks about the county's financials and its strength and its outlook for economic development.
Hello, I'm David Ubel, Commissioner in Clermont County. In 2012, when I came into office, the county was still experiencing the lingering effects of the Great Recession. Sales tax revenue had been declining since 2008. In fact, it wasn't until 2016 that the total operating revenue exceeded what it was back in 2007. So over the years, the commissioners have been very prudent when it comes to our operating budget. In 2018, our general fund is about $56 million. The general fund is the biggest discretionary source of funds in the county. It funds everything from all the different elected office holders, with the exception to the engineer's office, which depends upon driver's license fees as well as gas tax. I'm also happy to report that the county is operating debt-free. In 2008, we had $20 million of outstanding general obligation bonds, and today we've paid that down to zero. So there is no.
The next thing we wanted to focus on was growth, and we looked at 2010, which was when the last census was taken, as sort of our baseline. And we looked at various things like our population growth. And Robert was able to use this platform to kind of do this dynamic counting, so you can see that our population's increased almost 5% between 2010 and 2017. Our employment rate has gone down dramatically in that time. The number of households has increased a little bit more than 5%. We also picked up information. All this is from the census, the auditor's office, building permit, and a service that we subscribe to called ESRI that has this information, community tapestry it's called, that tells you a little bit about our habits and what we spent money on in 2017. So it's kind of interesting when you look at some of these numbers and you can see how substantial the county is. So we intersperse those numbers again with looking at growth and median income growing 8% over time in these 7 years, per capita income increasing. Again, numbers of looking. Now, let me just see the T in entertainment. This has to do with the browser that you're looking on and the width of the screen. But we did go through a lot of different tests. So most people who are looking at this on their computer or mobile should see it all as one word. So,
E for tractor.
so we looked at housing starts and how that changed in the last 7 years. Housing sales, appraised value, total residential appraised value, building permits, what we spent on travel, education, and then sales tax revenue and how that increased. So this gives you an idea of the kind of the growth of the county over time and how we're on this upward trajectory, which is always good. We looked at various aspects of accomplishments, and again, we kind of, this doesn't reflect everything that the county undertook or accomplished in 2017, but it does reflect, I think, those things that really impacted the public. So we looked at infrastructure, particularly through the TID, and the major projects that were signed off, that ended basically in 2017, and that is the Eichholz Road Connector, and again, using that dynamic counter, you can see what it cost. The old SR 74 widening, and the Wolfpen Pleasant Hill improvements. Those were the really three big, I mean, there were a number of other smaller projects, but those were the big three projects. And we looked at how road projects are financed. Then we look at public safety, and I work closely with the sheriff's office on this. They do their own annual report, and as you can imagine, they have all kinds of data and statistics, so they basically fed that to me, and I fed it to Robert, and we pulled it together. But you look at their calls for service and arrests in 2017, traffic enforcement, their investigative division, narcotics division. It kind of gives you a better understanding and scope of all their operations. And then this is something else we did. So David and I last fall spent about half a day with the K-9 unit and their training. And what we did was we incorporated videos that we had already done but that were timeless or that spoke to some aspect of this. So this is, I'll just play a few seconds of this, but this is a video that we did last year on the K-9.
My name's Adam Bailey. I'm with the Clermont County Sheriff's Office. I'm a deputy sheriff, but assigned to the K-9 unit. I've been with the K-9 unit for 15 years, and I've been with the Sheriff's Office almost 20 years total right now. The K-9 unit's a group of 4 different dogs and handlers, and they range from tracking and trailing dogs to narcotic detection dogs. There's 7 different functions that the dogs provide for us for services in the county, including building searches and area searches and article searches, and apprehension work too on top of that.
That's one of our most popular videos, needless to say, because it involves dogs. But County Jail, this is another thing we did last year, and I'm not going to play them, but we interviewed Joe Palmer, and we interviewed Captain McConnell about the body scanner, and Joe Palmer about overall job operations, so we just incorporated those videos as well. And then the sheriff did their first national night out, their own independent one, so we picked up pictures from that. Human Services, which is really Job and Family Services, but we mentioned here all the agencies, including Senior Services, DD, MHRB, that kind of comprise the Human Services network in Clermont County. But this is one where we kind of focused on JFS and its division. So we've got Children's Protective Services and what they did in 2017, how many foster families they have. This is a family that we interviewed in 2016, but this is a long-time foster and adoptive family in Clermont County, the Rices, and they're just a great representation of the quality of foster families and adoptive families in Clermont County who have worked with CPS over the years. And then again, this is the video we did a couple years ago with Tim Dick, but it's still timeless. It talks about Children's Protective Services, who to
I'm Tim Dick. I'm the Assistant Director of Children's Protective Services. Children's Protective Services' main role is to ensure the safety of children, and that's completed by reports of allegations that we will.
So child support, we also had we had a video with child support that we incorporated in there, and one with public assistance. Ohio Means Jobs, all the visits to OMJ and the hiring events they had. And then we wanted to mention, this is part of our human service network, but this is the 528 SAVE number that MHRB operates through Child Focus, and the number of phone calls that they got in their crisis hotline in 2017. Last year was a really big year for public health, and that's also a very outward-facing agency, so we wanted to focus on some of public health's accomplishments. So they were accredited last year, which was really wonderful news. We had done a video on WIC a couple years ago that still was applied and we could use in this. The number of shots and vaccines that they distributed, food inspections, birth certificates. This is another timeless video we did of how to get a birth certificate, and child car seats. And then their Family Funded Venture Challenge, which I think it's on its 3rd or 4th year this, I think it's this weekend, isn't it? Is it this weekend? So great pictures from that from last year. The Opiate Task Force is one of the biggest kind of interactive collaboratives in Clermont County, and is really, last year was a really forward-moving year for the Opiate Task Force. It really did a lot of tremendous things with the help of the county and all the stakeholders who are part of it. And part of this is because of the levy that passed for Mental Health and Recovery Board the previous year, giving them more money to put into some of these services. So we just picked up some of their accomplishments and tried to put it in this kind of bite-sized way so it's not too overwhelming for people, but looking at the increase in detox services, doctors, overall treatment, recovery housing, their quick response teams, increasing outreach and education in the community through the new website, what they're doing at the high school level, more Narcan going out, and reducing the supply of narcotics. Again, this was a video we did with Sheriff Leahy on directed patrols, so that still worked. And then we talked about the opening the wing, the new women's wing at Cask, and also the new syringe services program that actually did begin this year, earlier this year. And then we wanted to mention a couple of the building projects that the county was involved with this year, the Domestic Relations Court and the 911 Center, the new towers. Our stories, these are just really short videos we did with 3 people. Our original plan was to do 5, and then we were just kind of running into a time crunch. But Lyle Bloom, which I really appreciate, did a video looking at some of the big projects for this current year. Hannah Lubbers talked about the Ohio, the sort of what's happening with our watershed and the various efforts that are going on right now to protect it. And then Karen Smedley from JFS, who's one of the supervisors there, spoke about how JFS, how they determine, when they're going to remove a child from the home and when they're going to try to work with parents to keep the child in the home. So I'll just play a short video with Lyle's, a little bit of Lyle, since he's here.
Hi, I'm Lyle Bloom, Director of the Clermont County Water Resources Department. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the big water main replacement projects we have going on for 2018. We have 4 big ones on tap. These will replace over 13,000 feet of water main and cost about $1.5 million. The first project is in Miami Township along Branch O'Guiney Road from Bridle Path Lane to Jerry Les Drive. We'll be putting in a single water main that will replace 2 water mains that were installed in 1959 and 1972. The next project will be installing a main in Union Town.
So just, what goes into making these videos is not just setting up the interview with a person, but also David going out and getting B-roll on each of them. So it really takes a lot of work to put these videos together. And then financials, I want to thank Suki and Mary for working with me on this, but This looks at the all funds revenues from 2017 and all funds expenses, and then our general fund. And this is something next year that we could, we may be able to kind of, go down further into financials or do more interesting things with them. We kind of consider this our beta project. This is where we're going to learn from this as we decide what we're going to do for 2018. But we're very proud and happy of this effort, and very happy to share it with people. And I just wanted to mention briefly, Robert couldn't be here today, but he built this through the WordPress platform, the platform that our website is on. And he used a theme called Divi, D-I-V-I, that actually Andy purchased several years ago. So it's become, and as Robert says, it's a robust design framework that allows us to create what you see today. So it's allowing for these dynamic graphics, this interplay of video and text and visuals. And it's something that Robert is very enthusiastic about and sees lots of potential for our website, as well as for other kinds of multimedia projects like this that we have going. So I just think something like this allows us to tell our story in a very dynamic way. We've got a good story to tell, a great story to tell, and now we've got a way to share that, even more dynamically than we have before. So I really appreciate your listening to me, and feel free to share this. We are promoting this on Facebook and through Twitter and through our online. As you can see, there's a button at the top of our homepage, and through our website, and it's going to be promoted through this as well. But we do hope that we get a lot of people looking at it. And just so you know, I got a email the other day from the communications outreach person for CCAO, who said, I saw your annual report, it's very impressive, how did you do it? Did you outsource it? So I put him together with Robert to explain a little bit about how we did it. But I don't think that many counties are doing this, or cities for that matter, unless they're really huge. Because I was inspired by LA County, which did this fantastic report for 2016. And they won a big award at the National Association of County Information Officers last year. And I wondered if we could do something. Yeah, we do not have the resources of LA County, but I thought that we could try to do something for Clermont County that would showcase our county and really be worthy of us. So anyway, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And
Really good.
You bet.
This is really wonderful.
well, thank you,
Great
thank
job.
you.
Glad that we're moving from a multi-page piece of paper that's static to a dynamic website and leading people to it. I think that's really going to be
Thank you very
a
much.
good thing for Clermont County. And I think that with our limited staff, we have accomplished an awful lot. You've done really well.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I want to again thank David and Robert, who were instrumental in putting this together. And it would not have happened if we didn't have Robert here, it would have had to have been outsourced at a substantial cost, and we probably would have said, I don't think so. So his ability and his talent really allows, and his enthusiasm for embracing new projects really allows us to do this.
Enthusiasm is significant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. With the permission of my fellow commissioners, I'd like to move up the staff discussion with Lyle Bloom concerning the Newtonsville sewer project. Is that all right?
It's great.
Okay.
So I didn't prepare a real fancy interactive presentation. I did this.
Does that mean that you lack enthusiasm?
Oh, no, I won't comment. Let's see.
You have colors, you know?
You
That's
do.
right. It's
Yeah.
Christmas.
It's colored.
Look like stop and go to me.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what they were to represent. So, as you know, since the public hearing we had in September 25th, 2017, with the Newtonsville project, we received comments at that public hearing. Following that, we sent out a mailer to all the residents on November 3rd, 2017, with options on the project, whether they wanted to proceed with the project as it was, currently designed, whether they preferred that we redesign the project to provide all gravity to all the properties benefited by the project, which would be an all-gravity collection system, or if they did not want public sewers in the project area and they wanted the project discontinued. So we gave them three options. And then we had another public involvement meeting on March 13th, 2018. Based on the comments there, we sent another mailer out to residents on March 27th with the same three options. So this tries to summarize all the responses. There's 139 property owners in the project area. We received responses from 82 of those, and that was after, like I said, the public hearing, another meeting, two mailers. We finally got just over, we got close to 60%. We got 59% responded. So looking at the three different options that were presented, some of the people, some of the responders, they said that they want the project redesigned to full gravity, or they don't want anything at all. Or some said that they wanted it designed, or they wanted it constructed as currently designed, or they didn't want anything at all. Or some said, give me either all gravity or as is. They don't care, they just want public sewer. And some said they don't want anything at all, no matter what. So we looked at all three. It's kind of a complicated evaluation. So we looked at all three. And I'm going to start to the right. If you look at if we discontinue the project, some property owners responded, we would have 37 responders that support discontinuing the project. And if you look down at this section, so 37 gave it the green, that they don't want it to discontinue. 45 were actually opposed to that because they were in support of either redesign or design as is. So if we're looking at just based on the responses, do we proceed with a sewer system for the Newtonsville project area or not? Based on the responses, 45 people were more in favor of some type of sewer system than the 37 that were in support of discontinuing the project. So then we have to look at, okay, do we proceed with the design as is, or do we redesign it? And with the design as is, you drop down, and 22 property owners supported the design as is. And again, some people said, if you don't redesign it, we don't want it at all. So then 60 people were opposed to redesign. If we redesign it, 32 people were in support of redesigning the project, acknowledging that it's going to increase assessment. And 50 responders were opposed to redesigning the project. So if I'm looking at that, I'm saying, all right, we've got a majority that want public sewer, and of that majority, it looks like a majority of that majority would prefer that the project's redesigned to an all-gravity system. But it's a very small difference in the responses that separate support and opposition, and that we're in favor of the full gravity redesign. Try to go to the next slide here. That will not work. I don't know if okay, so we presented two different options for if we're going to proceed with an all gravity collection system design. One would be all gravity in the existing right-of-way for the majority, existing right-of-way of the public streets there. We'd have a influent lift station at the treatment plant there, represented by the star, that would increase the assessment more than what was presented to the property owners for an all-gravity solution. So, and it was very deep sewers. Some of them were around 40 feet deep. So that one we've kind of ruled out from the preliminary engineering report as an option for an all-gravity system. The next option, which was alternative 1B, was an all-gravity collection design that would require a lift station, kind of at the downstream end of the project area, to allow gravity flow to that lift station from these areas that were originally proposed to be served with the STEP system, which is the septic tank effluent pump, the alternative collection system. So then that pump station would then pump up to the lifts, the headworks of the treatment plant, which has the influent pump station, pump into the treatment plant. If it's designed anything close, the detailed design is anything close to this, we're going to pick up a few other property owners that were originally outside the project area. Which is fine. I don't know if they're in support or opposed to the project, but in order to get an all-gravity collection design and try to keep costs down, we'll have to move outside the project area with the design. But we're going to be going.
Density outside the project area, fairly dense population?
No, those are larger lots there.
Okay.
So there's maybe 4 or 5 other property owners that are going to be affected. If we go to redesign, we're going to have to start the resolution process over. So a new public hearing, so those property owners will become involved with this project as we move through redesign. I met May 4th with Ashley Kelly from U.S. Department of Agriculture, just to give him an update on the project and where it stood, because a portion of this project is funded through their agency. If we go through redesign, and I outlined all the options with him, if we go through redesign, we will have to revise our preliminary engineering report, because that report recommended the hybrid collection system. So the report's going to need to be revised to recommend the all-gravity collection design. Ashley informed me that in Ohio there's a $5 million loan limit, and if we exceed that, it has to go to the national office for review, the whole project file. He really discourages that. I guess that's just another layer of bureaucracy that could create problems for us. Our current loan amount is just over $4 million. So his thought was, if we're increasing the project costs to account for the all-gravity design, that we can get a new loan agreement up to the $5 million, and the rest of that, whatever that discrepancy is, he was estimating around $130,000, I believe. He would recommend that be funded through a grant through USDA also. So we may be able to get some additional grant funds. The majority of the additional costs would be through a new loan agreement through USDA. We wouldn't get the reduced interest rate. The current loan is at 2.25%. We would still keep that loan for the $4 million at 2.25%, but the new loan amount would be, he estimated, around 2.75%. Same duration, a 40-year loan with no prepayment penalty.
Is OPWC available for this sort of a project?
We do have some OPWC funds on this. We've already been approved for that, and that was a $1 million grant.
Okay, can we get loan money from OPWC at a reasonable rate?
Possibly. I can check into that and see. That was one other funding source also for loan funds.
That might be lower than the 2.75%. They often have
Zero interest.
loan money available, and it goes begging. The loan money
I
does.
believe the difference is it wouldn't be a 40-year loan.
Right,
It might only be a 20-year loan.
yes. But a really good rate, so.
So if we go through redesign, there. Schedule for redesign. If we're going to redesign, we'll need to have a new well, the USDA loan agreement was approved, the original one, approved April 1st, 2016. We have 5 years to close on that, so we need to close on that loan by April 1st, 2021. So we're under the clock right now. That would mean we need to start construction by January 1st, 2020, giving us about a 15-month construction schedule. So we need to start redesign ASAP. I've already met with the consultant to get them started on at least developing a proposal and a scope for redesign and revision to the preliminary engineering report. And the goal would be to try to be, and this is going to be tough, but the goal is to be complete with the redesign by mid-September 2018. We'll begin amending the resolutions and scheduling the new public hearing to try to meet the construction schedule by starting January 1st of 2020. So we'll be busy and need to stay on task with this and keep this project moving forward to meet that schedule. So a lot of the comments we heard at the public hearing, and the public meeting also, that of course, residents are still concerned with the cost. Usually when we do an assessment project, we include system capacity fees in the assessment. So we have our basic benefit assessment, which is the assessment for the costs of construction and the project itself. And then there's a capacity fee, which a lot of people call tap-in fees, that all new customers pay, even no matter where they are in our collection system.
It's a one-time.
One-time fee, and it's paying for your portion of the capacity at the treatment plant, in the downstream existing sewers, to upgrade those in the future to build additional capacity. In this case, in the case of Newtonsville, they're building their own treatment plant, they're building their own collection system, so we didn't think it was right to charge them a capacity fee. So, as I was looking back at it, I've run some numbers and prepared some preliminary assessment rules, assuming we build in capacity fees. So there's currently, and I listed up there our current capacity fees for single family, for multifamily. So there's some small apartment buildings on this. So if it's a apartment building with 8 one-bedroom apartments, they would have 8 times the 1,400. That would be, so it's per apartment, they'd have a capacity fee. And then there's other capacity fees for non-residential. So there's a restaurant, there's churches, there's things that aren't single-family residential that would pay slightly higher capacity fees. So estimating all the current buildings in the Newtonsville project area, I came up with an estimate of $350,700 for all the capacity fees that would be collected for those buildings. Because they're building their own capacity, we'd have that shown on the assessment rule, but we would pay that back into the project. So what it would result in for those customers, assessments on the multifamily buildings, the non-residential buildings will go up slightly, but the single-family residential assessments will go down. Now, if we redesign it to an all-gravity solution, all the assessments are going to go up anyway. They just won't go up as much if we build in the capacity fees. And those non-residential, non-single-family residential structures will pay a proportionate share, slightly more than a single family. Then there's, we had estimated, I'm sorry, when I said the existing capacity fees are going to be $539,110, we'd pay that back in. The treatment plant's rated at 57,000 gallons a day. 23,000 gallons per day of that capacity, it won't be accounted for with the existing homes. So there's available capacity for a future 105 equivalent dwelling units. In the future, if development were to occur, we would collect capacity fees from those buildings. So I would recommend that the Water Resources Department would contribute another $350,700 for those future capacity fees, with the understanding that we would collect those back in the future as new homes or businesses were built. So that would reduce the assessments on the vacant lots. It's going to, like I said, increase the assessments for multifamily, non-residential. We did hear from some residents that said they're 1,000 feet off the road. So by Ohio code, those homes actually wouldn't be forced to connect. So that's going to reduce their assessment, and then they would only pay that capacity fee if they connect. So it's going to help those folks out as well. And then there's also some grant funding that we had distributed to the residents. It's primarily for elderly and low-income homes, that it helps pay for the connection fees. Capacity fees are included in that connection, or in that. So not only could they help pay for the cost to run from their house to the sewer clean out, that cost, they could also pay with grants on an individual basis for those capacity fees. So it's going to help. It's not going to eliminate all their assessments, but it's going to help them a little bit to reduce their assessments, because we will be increasing them with the redesign of the collection system.
So help me understand. Are capacity fees in here or not in here? Because I think I think they should be in here, because we would charge a food service more money capacity fee wise than we would a single family residence. And that makes sense to me, because they're hooking to a sewer and getting a better benefit, a greater benefit.
The current assessment rule that was presented at the public hearing and at the public meetings did not have capacity fees anywhere in it. We didn't, at the time, we didn't think it was right to charge capacity fees because they were building their own capacity.
Right, they are, but
so they're going to pay them.
It's a difference between a food service and a single-family residence, and otherwise, we don't have that difference in the cost.
So that it's going to be shown on the assessment rule as a capacity fee, but whatever we collect will be contributed back into the project
I understand
cost.
that.
Yes. So
I understand that.
if when this project moves forward, I would recommend that we revise the assessment rule to reflect that. It's going to increase the Water Resource Department contribution to the project, but we would recoup that through the capacity fees that we collect when people connect.
In the future. So you're telling me that a food service connection to our new system will be somewhat more expensive than a single-family resident connection?
Their total assessment.
Total assessment.
With the
Okay.
capacity fees.
Very good.
That's all I had on the presentation. But again, back to the original responses. If you just look at them purely by the numbers, I would recommend that we go back and redesign the project to respond to the property owners. We send them a letter, let them know where the project stands, that we're going to go back to redesign, that would involve a new public hearing in the future. We'll try to keep them involved with the project as it proceeds. But right now, we're under the gun, and we need to make a decision to move forward.
So I hear what people say in their responses, but we can apply our judgment to this as well.
Absolutely.
And my judgment says that we came with the plan right the first time, and we don't need to. I look at that lid that will show up in a yard, and it's when I think many people from the public hearing got the impression that the whole tank was going to be above ground, or the whole tank was going to be above ground, and it was going to be an unsightly thing in their front yard or their side yard. And I think it's just a lid.
It would just be the lid that would be visible. The tank is about 10 foot in diameter.
Yep.
that
So there'll
would
be
be
a
there.
hole, and we'll put grass over the top of it, and,
Yep, and it would be in an easement. They wouldn't be able to build anything on it, but the idea is that would be in the front yard. So, there, I mean,
front yard
Well,
or
you
side
can't do a
yard,
whole lot.
whatever we can accomplish. Okay. So if I apply my judgment says we ought to go with it as planned, because that was, we put a lot of time and effort into planning this, and we want it to be as inexpensive as possible. And we don't want to increase the fees on everybody just because we have some people that want to have, don't want the lid in their front yard. So I kind of lead toward building it as we developed, as we put the plan forward. But that's just one guy, and I'd love to hear from my other commissioners.
Well, we're not making decisions today, are we? I mean, we're not,
We can,
you're in the process of getting new quotes for the full gravity system, correct? Until we have that.
correct, yes. So the revised,
you have an estimate of what that would be, though?
not yet, they're preparing that, a
Okay.
scope for redesign. And that new contract would come before the board also to redesign it.
Okay.
Tell me the other advantages of having a single lift station as to additional connections, future, my question is, I go with the step system. Every time I add on in that side of the town, I have to go with another step system.
Correct.
Versus if I go with the redesign and I go with the common lift station, then every time I need to connect or I need to extend, I can get to any place in that sewer system and I'm back to that common lift station, correct?
Correct. So if this is the location of the lift station,
Yep.
in theory, gravity sewers could be extended out, out through these areas. There's a lot of larger lots there, but I looked at that and it seemed there's, for the most part, it's a lot of 5-acre lots. So sewering those becomes very expensive.
Yep.
Not to say that it would never happen, that sewer might not get extended on a small subdivision put in here or on a 10 or 20-acre
So
lot.
zoning requires them to be 5-acre lots, or
Typically,
did they
I
get
don't,
5 acres because they wanted on-site systems, and that's
that was the only thing available.
On-site systems for.
I think 2-acre lots is the minimum lot size for on-site systems, but
There's no minimum size, but
Okay.
yes, when somebody's developing a new subdivision, we generally ask that they start in that 2.5 acre range, because it's usually a size we can work with. But a lot of them, there were a number of years ago that were getting a lot of 5-acre developments that were going through because there was an outfit called Country Time that was kind of selling like estate, I guess is what you call them, so people could have their horse in the backyard kind of thing. We saw a lot of those go in here and in other places. I'm not sure what the local zone has for their minimum lot size.
And I'm just asking, what is what does that open up to us if we have a gravity system there? Does that open me up to multiple family dwellings, vertical structures? What does it do for the corner McDonald's? If I get a corner McDonald's in Newtonsville right now, can I put them on a step system? Can they operate like that? Can they operate with a septic system? But if I go with this full gravity system, can they just connect and go? That's,
we're not really limited by what could connect to the step system. Assuming it's not some really high user, we're still always going to be limited by the treatment plant.
right.
It's got a limited amount of capacity. Out in Bethel, we've got Bethel High School is connected to it's either step or steg system that they're on. A portion of the Bethel area is on conventional gravity, and then there's a large portion of it that is on non-conventional, the hybrid type collection system. We could expand the treatment plant, maybe. We'd have to go to EPA. That's what Judy asked, if that could be expanded. That would be a new NPDES permit to expand the capacity of the treatment plant. but it's a very small stream, and you start discharging. It's not meant to be the location for a regional wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
So I own a house up near Rocky Fork Lake. It's on a step system. When I looked for homes up there, I only looked on the side of the lake that has sewer, which is step system. I didn't look for on-site systems because I didn't want to be burdened with the repair and replacement and all of that of an on-site system. The step system, the utility takes care of if the pump goes out, they come out and clean it. I mean, if the pump goes out, they replace it. If it needs cleaning, every 3 years or so, they come out and clean it. So it's part of my utility bill when I pay my sewer fee. And that just seems really good to me. So I have a whole tower in my backyard. There's not a lid, there's no, and I guess there's a lid as part of that, but it's a fairly large thing in my backyard. The septic system that was there previously, because they changed over from a septic before I bought it, was in the front yard. So it's now in the backyard, and I don't even think about that thing being there, except I look at it to see if the red light's on to see if it's working or not. But I chose that house mainly because it had sewer system. And the entire sewer system up around Rocky Fork Lake is step system, the entire sewer system. Because they put the treatment plant up high at the entry level of the lake rather than the exit level of the lake. And
You got to pump everything to get.
everything has to be pumped, so it's all pressure system. It works for me, and somebody else takes care of it, so that's a good thing.
We've had a lot of success with the step systems that we maintain. Our preference is always conventional gravity as far as an operational standpoint.
Except at 40-foot depths.
Correct. That makes maintenance difficult. And, another lift station, we've got, I think we're up to 108 lift stations now. We prefer not to have another lift station, but it's either we're going to be maintaining 40 or 50 step systems, or we're going to be maintaining a lift station. So,
And keep in mind, with that lift station, we're not talking about 40-foot depths.
No.
correct. No.
Right.
No. Those would be more
When you were
manageable.
talking 40-foot depths, you're talking about a complete
Complete gravity system.
gravity system.
To eliminate the need for the lift station.
Right.
That was the other alternative that was considered, and it's just not feasible to build that.
But you do need a decision pretty quickly.
Correct, to be able to either proceed with redesign. If we're not proceeding with redesign, of course, the schedule isn't as aggressive. But we would still just, if we're not proceeding with redesign, then we'd go ahead and make the determination to proceed. We could always step back and revise the assessment rule based on the recommendations that I made there. I think that still makes sense to do that. It would probably require another public hearing because we're changing the assessment method, but that would, I think, be the right thing to do.
Well, I think there's two decisions that we've talked about here today. One is, is a sewer system needed in Newtonsville?
Go or no go?
And the answer for me is yes. That's going to fix that'll be a legacy project for them, for not only for them today, but for their children and their grandchildren. And I just think that's the way to go. The next
I think our
decision,
health department has been extremely nice in not citing a whole lot of people there. And if we don't do something, that's going to be the next thing. And then when they cite them, they close. They're going to have to close their house and tear it down, and that's bad. That's not good. So I think we need to have a system there.
so I think that one is that one for me is they need a system. This is going to be something that, really changes, where they live and obviously the safety and the health of their community. So I'm there, and I've heard you make the recommendation on a redesign, and based on their wants and needs and them coming out to go to those meetings, they too want a redesign. So I would be for that.
I think we need to find out what the additional cost for an all-gravity system is before we can make a decision.
For the design costs?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
How long will it take to
An
do that?
individual resident,
We've given them the estimate. That didn't include, it was just over 4,000 additional on a 100-foot lot. That didn't, and we told them it didn't include the, any additional treatment plant upgrades, because with the step system, we're holding the solids in the tank, and we're going to haul those out and take them to probably like Lower East Fork or Middle East Fork treatment plant, one of the other treatment plants. So the treatment plant in Newtonsville the tanks don't have to be as big with that system because they won't have as many solids going into them. So that the treatment plant will have to be redesigned. The tanks will be slightly larger, so there'll be some additional costs with that. And I can get those numbers, preliminary numbers, and present all that as well.
How long will it take to get the new numbers?
I'll push the engineer. Again, we met with them last week. I'll see if I can get it within the next 2 weeks and get up here and present that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a consent agenda that was mailed to us on Friday. 3 items. And if there's no item that needs to be pulled for further discussion and decision, then I would ask for an motion to agree with the entire consent agenda as prepared.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agendas, item 1 through 3.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Painter?
Yes.
Humphrey?
Aye. Item number 4 on page 3 is to pay our bills. Resolution 56-18 in the amount of $1,780,594.50. Do we have a motion to pass resolution 56-18?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Humphrey?
Aye. Item 5.
Good morning.
Hello.
Morning.
Connie J. Booth, the Department of Job and Family Services. Item number 5 is the recommendation of Judy Eschman, the Director of the Department of Job and Family Services, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute an Ohio Department of Job and Family Services Title IV Child Placement Agreement and addenda thereto, consisting of amendment numbers 1 through 4, by and between the County of Clermont, Ohio, and Kelly Youth Services out of Cincinnati, Ohio, for the provision of independent living services for older youth referred by the Department of Job and Family Services and/or Clermont County Juvenile Court, as well as placement with baby services at the rates as defined therein. It's effective April 16th of 18 through April 15th of 19, pursuant to and compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein, and contingent upon the issuance of a purchase order therefore. And this is a new contract with a brand new provider. And our department always reviews programs and services as an ongoing basis to find new providers that we can put contracts already into place. So when children come into the system, we can offer them the best services available. And this contract specifically is for independent services, and it also provides for the placement with baby services, which supports our goal of keeping families together. So that's why we chose to contract with this provider.
Do we have a motion to execute the agreement and addenda as contained in item 5?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 6.
Recommendation of Judy Eschman, Director of the Department of Job and Family Services, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute an Ohio Department of Job and Family Services Title IV Child Placement agreement and addenda thereto, consisting of amendments numbers 1 through 3, by and between the County of Clermont, Ohio, and Marie's House of Hope Incorporated out of Trotwood, Ohio, for the provision of group home services for children referred by the Department of Job and Family Services and/or Clermont County Juvenile Court at the rates as defined therein, effective for the period of May 15th of 2018 through May 14th of 2019, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein, and contingent upon the issuance and receipt of a purchase order.
Okay. Do we have a motion to execute the agreement and addenda as contained in item 6?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Yocum?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7, Wade.
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning. Still.
Still, agenda item number 7 is a recommendation from myself, Wade Grabowski, with the concurrence of Mr. Thomas J. Agel, County Administrator, to execute change order number 1 to the contract by and between the Clermont County Board of County Commissioners and Michael Schuster Associates out of Cincinnati, Ohio, bless you, for the provision of architectural and engineering services relative to the Clermont County Juvenile Court Facility Expansion and Remodel Project, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on 8/2/2017. This represents an increase in the amount of $58,000 for additional architectural and engineering services and $11,000 for reimbursable expenses for a total adjusted contract price to date of $413,250, as well as an extension of time, which would be 395 calendar days, for the completion thereof for a revised contract completion date of 12/31/2019 for additions, deletions, and/or modifications thereto as defined therein and contingent upon the release of a purchase order required therefore in concert with requisition number 2945 dated 4/10/2018.
So the reason for the 395 days is we're asking them to manage the project for us, is
Yeah,
that?
they will be managing it. They'll provide the service type stuff, obviously. I will represent the county commissioners if they so wish on the project.
Okay.
But it does extend it into late 2019. Now, we'll be coming back with the,
We're expecting completion by then, is that?
correct, right,
This is really for them to do the Title III portion of it?
yes.
Okay.
Wade, what is the next steps for this project then?
The design work is done. They'll be just doing the bid documents, and then we'll be providing, obviously asking to go out to public bid, and we'll be coming back to you with a recommendation of an award of bid, hopefully, if the dollar amounts work out. The architect's estimate is still within budget, even with the additional monies that we've added here, and we feel very confident, based on several projects that we've done, that we will be under. There's a lot of competition out there, which I've stated before.
There's about 90 days for the bid documents to be created.
I'm going to try to push them, sirs, to where we maybe do 60.
And let me be clear on that again, this money is actually for them to do the management portion of this contract.
That covers their contract, that is correct.
Okay.
This is not the construction, this is not, it has nothing to do with that.
Do we have a motion to execute the change order number 1 as contained in item 7?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Yocum?
Yes.
Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 8.
And number 8 is also a recommendation by myself, Wade Grabowski, with the concurrence of Mr. Thomas J. Agel, County Administrator, to award the bid, I said award the bid, for the construction of a record center facility for the County of Clermont, Ohio, pursuant to plans and specifications to Perkins Carmack Construction, Milford, Ohio, for the lowest and best bid received on 2/22/2018 in the amount of $1,894,000, and to execute the contract relative thereto with said services to be commencing upon the issuance of a written notice to proceed from the Clermont County Facilities Management Department, and to be completed by 270 days after the receipt of a notice to proceed, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein, an award of bid and contingent upon the release of a purchase order required therefore, in concert with requisition number 2844 dated 4/4/2018. This is your record center. This is the award to Perkins Carmack. So if approved, the notice to proceed will go out immediately.
What's their construction schedule, Wade?
They're looking at, obviously with the current schedule, they're looking at late January 2019, early February on the number of days. This does have a day criteria on it. If history repeats itself, we can get under roof and be working during the rough season and close this thing out hopefully earlier rather than later.
When do you think they'll break ground?
Oh, they'll break ground. Notice to proceed goes out today, should the board approve this. I think they're geared up to within 10 days to 14 days.
I'm assuming, does this board wish to have a groundbreaking ceremony?
Sure.
Make sure we can get that scheduled.
We'll go ahead and put that on the schedule then. I'll go ahead and do a pre-construction. I'll schedule the pre-construction so everybody knows when that's going to be, and then we'll go ahead and assign and schedule a groundbreaking ceremony with all parties involved. Michelle would have been very excited, Suki, to be here today. She had previously requested she had other things to do, but we did talk to her. So she's really pleased.
Okay. So we have a motion to award the bid for the Record Center as contained in item 8.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Painter.
Yes.
Jubal.
Yes.
Humphrey.
Aye.
Thank you
Wade,
very
Wade,
much.
wasn't the Great Carmack, was that part of Johnny Carson? Was the
What's that?
Great Carmack, wasn't that the Johnny Carson show? The guy would come out and
That's showing our age, Commissioner.
I don't know if it was it Carmack?
That would be, you need to take the contract and
Yeah, put it up over
always
his
put it
forehead,
to his
yes.
head.
There was an interesting story because our architectural firm is McCarty and Associates out of Hillsborough. And I was watching the news flashes go across the screen last night, and Mike McCarty became a commissioner in Highland County. And I thought to myself, this can't be the same person. I haven't verified it yet, but I'm like, well, we just lost our architect. I don't know.
Wade, before you go, let
Yes,
me
sir.
ask you a totally unrelated question.
Okay.
Are we still moving forward on those HVAC replacements that you need
For
in other
the
buildings?
Family Support Center?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Deb, you did the work order manager. It's still at the prosecutor pending.
The prosecutor delivered some requested changes this morning, so I'll be getting that package back down to them to approve.
Yeah, they wanted an architect's estimate, for example. There was several things that they wanted, but the paperwork is all done. Deb did a great job doing it, so
Great.
hopefully we get that up and running. Just to, if I may, just to update, it may not be the place, we have put in some temporary portable units in the various places that have occupancy. That is not going to solve the problem. That's just temporary. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Spring temporary.
Yes,
Yep.
until you get 93, 94 degrees, then that's all happening.
Suki.
Item 9 is a recommendation to reject all the bids that we received on April 26th for the inmate food service for the inmates in the adult and juvenile detention facilities here in Clermont County. We received 2 bids. The low bid was 17% lower than the other bid. The low bid had a informality that we could not overlook. It was missing a pertinent signature.
Fatal flaw.
So the 17% on the other bid was way above what our budget would allow. So we're going to go ahead and rebid this, and item 10 goes right with that. So we'll do item 9 first.
Okay, do we have a motion to reject all bids for the inmate food service as contained in item 9?
So moved.
Second.
Jubal.
Yes.
Painter.
Yes.
Aye. And item 10.
Item 10 is the request to re-advertise for bids for the inmate food service. This will be, we did revise the specifications a little bit. The original bid required or didn't require, it asked for an alternate potential of creating the juvenile meals at the juvenile detention kitchen. Neither of the 2 bids we received took advantage of that, and we believe there were some bids that were not submitted because of that. They misunderstood that that was just an alternate. They thought it was a requirement. So we took that out of there. We modified the bid pricing sheet a bit, so it will go out in the legal notice in the newspaper on May 17th. We will accept bids by 2 p.m. on June 7th, and then we will start again. What this will do, because the current contract expires in June, on June 8th, we will have for you either next week or the following week a extension. The current contractor has already agreed to an up to 3-monthly extension at the current rates.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the request to re-advertise for the inmate food service bid?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Jubal.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. Item 11.
Good morning. Number 11 is a recommendation to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute change order number 1 to the contract with W.E. Smith Construction of Blanchester, Ohio, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on 1/6/16 for project number UN 1614 relative to the Round Bottom Road landslide project in Union Township. This represents a decrease in the amount of $7,454.60 for a total adjusted contract price of $68,395.40 for additions, deletions, and/or modifications thereto as defined therein.
You know what the change was?
I believe we overestimated the asphalt repairs that might be necessary, so that's the extra.
We have a motion to execute the change order number 1 as contained in item 11.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 12.
Item 12 is a recommendation to accept the contract by and between the County of Clermont, Ohio and W.E. Smith Construction of Blanchester, Ohio for the same project, number UN 1614, relative to the Round Bottom Road landslide project in Union Township as complete as of 4/29/16, and to approve payment number 2 and final, which would be the release of retainage in the amount of $3,034. So this would accept the contract as complete and release that retainage and close the project out.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the contract and the project as complete as contained in item 12.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 13, Mr.
Thanks,
Eigel.
Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Item 13 is a recommendation to accept the proposal from Millennium Business Systems for an office equipment copiers maintenance contract for Clermont County. And this also will execute the contract for services by and between the county and Millennium Business Systems at the cost per copy rate of .0109 for black and white and .043 for color. And this is effective for 3 years, 5/15/2018 through 5/14/2021, with the option of 2 one-year renewal periods. So we received 2 proposals, and we decided to stay with Millennium Business Systems.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the proposal as contained in item 13?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
That's a real savings to the entire county.
Yeah, actually, the rates came in a little bit lower than they have been, so we'll save even more money.
Okay. We have a need for executive session. Is there anything else to add on before that?
We do have just a quick add-on. In the Board of County Commissioners, Suzanne Sheets, we know her as Suki Sheets, promotion to the Assistant County Administrator, and this will be effective 5/21/2018.
Suki Sheets. Who?
Suki Sheets.
Do we have a motion to approve that request? Nobody? Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
There we go. Roll call?
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
So Suki, what's your real name?
Tom said it, Suzanne.
Oh, Suzanne. Is
Suzanne.
that what you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll hear about that later.
Yeah. Okay, so that concludes our regular business. We now have a need for executive session. Is that right, Tom?
Correct.
Okay. We have a need for executive session pursuant to 121.22 G1, G2, and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to first, consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, or compensation of one or more public employees. And 2, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or the sale of property at competitive bidding. And 3, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation respectively. Do we have a motion to go into executive session under those 3 sections?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. We'll be back. We're back from executive session. No decisions were made. Are there any add-ons?
No, just public participation.
Okay. We have time for public participation. I don't see any public in the audience, so we'll go on to, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. That concludes our business for today. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.